Hello there. Ignore that for a second. We'll get back to that. How is everybody? Hope you're good. Hope you're well. I've got the first round of office hours starting this week, so I have a couple people scheduled. I know my stupid Google Doc is not working for some crazy reason. This is the fourth semester I've used the same Google Doc for that, and I even created a new one, and for some reason it's just not working. So I'm gonna keep trying with that Google Doc. Otherwise, if you want to just email me, my office hours are from 1 to 2 every Friday. So if you are available, not this week, but next week, Friday between 2, I'm sorry, 1 p.m. and 2 p.m., 1 to 2, every Friday, I am available. So we can just schedule by email. Otherwise, I don't know why that stupid Google Doc isn't working. Okay. So this week we're doing nonfiction, and this is me in real time in spring 2022. I am gonna record a little bit I have like a slideshow that I did, but I'll come back and talk to you guys at the end. Everything is going really, really, really great so far. I have some incredible writers in this group. I cannot tell you how much excitement it brings my heart to see you guys truly trying with these writing assignments. So keep going, keep that energy up. I am stoked about it. I have been working through the craft elements. I've got the first round out of the way. I've got half of the second one done. I've peeked at the nonfiction that I've got coming in this week, and it looks great so far. So yeah, just please keep up that same energy and keep pushing through, because I am really excited. It seems like we're kind of finally getting back to what feels like normal school and normal school responsibilities, because the COVID years definitely did a number on the way that we behave academically. And I'm glad to see that that's kind of backing off a little bit. So thank you. Okay, so now we're going to talk about nonfiction. I feel like nonfiction is one of the most accessible for you guys to find your voice. So we're starting with nonfiction. You know, you got a lot of things that you can say about yourself. We all love to talk about ourselves, me included. So, you know, we're going to start off with nonfiction. However, you might notice that both of the readings this week aren't memoirs. These aren't nonfiction pieces that are about with creative essay. The essay, which means to try. And this essay is much different from the essay you wrote, you know, years ago sitting in those auditoriums. These are essays that are about what's on your mind, or something specifically that you have to talk about, something that you want to say about something to you. It gives you the opportunity to talk about your experience in life, as well as offer, you know, for baseball star, you can talk about your experience with baseball, but then you can go into the philosophy of baseball, right? And the, you know, cultural weight of baseball. Literary nonfiction and creative nonfiction describe the kind of essays that begin with a personal experience, but reach for a greater range and resonance. You can offer your own unique experience, and then moving out from the self. The essayist T. Clutch Fleischman, who I read this year, is so amazing. Time is a Thing a Body Moves Through is the name of their long essay. It's like a book-length essay. It's very cool. At one point in their life, they called anything they liked, be it a dance move, a floral arrangement, an advertisement, an essay, right? So an essay is like a unique perspective about it. I just that like has oh, look at that, you know, floral arrangement, an essay, right? It's hilarious. I mean, they said it was to be slightly provocative, but I think that it, you know, it had resonance with me at least. All right. So more about the essay. There's freedom in the essay. This is on Imagine Right. There's freedom in the essay. You can talk about whatever you like and whatever style you like. Story, monologue, lesson, list, ronde, collage, right? So you're just going, talking about something. You can do it as creatively as you want, as you can see in this week's reading, or
you can, try to stick more to the facts, as we also talked about in our discussion post and in the chapter Truth and Fact. A good example is on page 227, the Janet Burway talks about removing an old photograph from a frame and thinking about like the deliberate nature of putting a picture in a frame. And so she starts with something so small, very small task led to much deeper thinking about the nature of impermanence and enclosure, about photography, about family. So you start with a moment in your life. This is a really, a kind of trick. Start with a moment in your life. You recount it. I was making my coffee this morning, blah, blah, blah. And then you move out and out and out. So one of, I think, the most important things you can take out of this entire nonfiction experience is looking at the chapter Fact and Truth that I assigned. There are so many things in here in this chapter that I think are really important. I mean, you should see my copy of imaginative writing that I'm looking at right now. Here, I'll show you. So this is one of the most marked up. I find it really enlightening. There's just so much in there that is important. So I'm going to try to be as concise as possible. However, I do want to, make sure that you guys have thought a lot about what this has to say. So right away, you start to think about in this excerpt, this chapter, about what is different between retelling, fact, essential truth, memoir. What are the differences? And the fact of the matter, to be a little ironic, is that the lines are blurred, right? So on 234, Janet Burway writes, is a docudrama more documentary or drama? If memoir book dialogue.
Okay, the sound was just killing me. So I'm going to just talk to you about truth and essential truth and fact in nonfiction. So I'm going to flip this back around. I hope you can still hear me. So I want you to think about a time that you had a birthday party, right? Your birthday party, your mom probably threw for you. I don't know. I always had a birthday party. There was always like something that my mom like threw together, even though, I know that it was not always super easy for her to do. But you imagine your mom at your birthday party, and you probably have an image in your head of something that your mom was wearing, whether it's a cotton house dress, with plaid lavender and yellow crisscross? Is it the same dress with piping on the collar? Is it an Armani pantsuit, a Harley Davidson bikini? Whatever it is, you have a snapshot in your head. Now, that snapshot is probably only something that you, as your mother's child, has created as a representation of your mother. It's likely not exactly what the capital T truth is, right? So we don't need to worry so heavily about what the capital T truth of our memories are. We just need to focus on telling the essential truth, telling the aesthetic, giving me the image, the idea of who your mother is based on likely what she wore, right? Or likely what would be a character or a sketch of your mother. So again, if you're retelling a scene from your life, the facts don't always have to be perfect, but the essential truth or the aesthetic is important. Bring these essential truths into focus like in fiction, as if this was a fictional scene that you're describing, just like the way that authors describe very carefully what their characters are wearing and doing and thinking. You're also going to be doing that in your own nonfiction. Unlike fiction, however, there is an absence of the intent to deceive. So you really are not trying to get one over on the reader. You really can just be transparent with your readers. You can be straightforward and tell them the truth, right? Tell them the truth. It doesn't have to be exact details. You don't have to go look up a video of this birthday party and write a transcript of it, but you do need to tell me the truth. Don't try to trick me, or else I don't want to read your nonfiction.
Okay, let's talk about the reading. Kind of weird, right? So we'll start with the female body. Right away, we see from the very first few words that this isn't going to be a typical essay about the objectification of the female body. This isn't going to be some kind of op-ed piece. We see that this is going to talk about the female as, you know, a literal object, but we also know she's going to do it in a way that is fresh, a little poetic, different, right? Tongue-in-cheek. Maybe even satirical, right? So we've got this repetition of topic, the word topic in the first section. I get up in the morning, my topic feels like hell, I sprinkle it with water, brush parts of it, rub it with towel, powder it, add lubricant. I jump in the pool and away goes my topic, topical topic, controversial, pumping topic, and nearsighted topic. So we see that this is about, you know, the body is an object and all its moving pieces. And we understand that she's going to make a point likely about, you know, again, the objectification of the female body, but she's doing it in a way that is poetic, right? It's different. And one thing it's not fiction. This isn't a story. This is an essay. This is a really, you know, beautiful, creative, personal essay. And she's done a few things here that we can sort of take and steal and put in our toolbox, right? So the idea that she broke it up into different numbered sections. She introduced characters that are likely people, you know, her experience. The she is likely her, and if it's not, it's still working towards her essential truth, right? We can, a lot of the pieces of dialogue, and they're also not in quotes. Another thing that nonfiction often does. The dialogue shows up without quotes. Most of the time that means that the author is, you know, conceding that this isn't fact, right? This is through memory. This is through experience. This is dialogue she knows would fit the situation, which is a lot of what we get, right? So 240 said, I won't have one of those things in my house to give the young falls that she'd fall on her face. And, you know, we know that's a nod towards Barbie. We know that's a nod towards the irony of, you know, this man saying this thing about the objectification of women in the Barbie, but yet by the end we see that Atwood is making commentary on the way that, you know, put women in box. But it's about so many other things, right? It's about, yes, this societal issue, but it's about her relationship, her body. It's about society. It's also about beautiful prose, right? It's about, like, it's written in this wonderful poetic way that is sort of its own nod towards, you know, what women can do with their bodies. There's so many metaphors that she uses here. She calls women a door knocker, a natural resource, a giant melon. The giant melon, she talks about metaphors. So it's, again, this like meta commentary on, you know, the existence of women's bodies while like inside this essay. I don't know. I just think that the way she talks about the essay without talking about it is just so. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about Margot's diary. So touching and sad, but also so great, right? Again, this is a piece that's even more meta, right? It's so much about Anne and Margot and the war, And it's as much about them as it is about the reading itself. Meta commentary on the existence of essays, the existence, importance of maintaining the essay, maintaining nonfiction. Margot kept a diary, Perhaps she wrote, "There must be something wrong with us, or else they would not be after us." So the next line, it says something like, Margot kept one, she was the daughter known to be smart, studious, reflective. And then it goes on to say, hers was lost, right? So we know so much about this family through the one perspective of Anne Frank. But Margot kept a diary as well. And there's so much lost there, right? There's so much that we don't know about her experience, about her perspective. So Weisenberg goes on to, make assumptions about what Margot's experience would have been like. And so, he engages the reader in a contract about the capital T truth, about the essential truth. This is and would be Margot's experience, right? He writes directly in quotes, "Perhaps Margot remembered Frankfurt, the house, the neighborhood, the protective feeling of it." And he writes in first person as if Margot wrote it. Yet we know, because of the way that he's constructed this essay, we understand, we engage in this contract with him that makes sense to us. We know this is not her writing, but what she would have written. And so therefore it's so much about Margot. It's so much about Margot Frank, who is sort of a quiet character in so much, so many stories about Anne Frank. This piece is just so touching about, perhaps Margot grieved. He gives us some timelines that he knows about her. So we do have some facts here. July 1943, August 4th, 1944. He uses this blend of essential truth and of fact to really narrow in his point, right? Margot ran out of language. Everything seeped from her. She was barely 18. Her name appeared on lists of people who didn't come back. The day of death unmarked. Just so much truth there, so much important stuff that he says about the war, about Anne Frank, but also using this perspective of Margot Frank, who we know so well about.
Okay. Back. Hopefully that second part was a little bit better. So hopefully we got through all of that just okay, the reading and everything. So okay, so I'm looking forward to those people that we're going to be meeting tomorrow. Let's see. We have another week of nonfiction coming up next week. We've got a little Roxanne Gay and Claudia Rankine, so we're going to do discussion boards on that. People who are submitting discussion boards are doing a good job. There are some people that are missing it. I'm going to update the grade book here soon with those discussion board grades in there. So if you're not responding to you're only going to get half the points if you're not responding to a classmate's post. So you need to make sure you're responding. All right, if anybody has any questions, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great night.